Hey everyone, welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged. Like me. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got a story for you. And so it begins again. One of my users left the company about 6 months ago. It was a celebration in the IT department thanks to the mental relief of not having to support this idiot again. A month ago, she comes back. It starts again. Today I get a flustered email saying that 99% of her emails to customers are bouncing back with error messages. Her words, not mine. This is interesting considering she's never mentioned it in the past and none of the other users have reported problems. We've got 3 different systems that can send emails: company email system, sales system, and car manufacturer emails. So I needed to ascertain which system was having problems. SD, where are you emailing from? Stupid person. My office. Okay, not helpful, but I'm willing to admit the question was misconstrued. SD, what's the email bounce back you're getting? SP, here it is. I look at the error message. She spelt the customer's last name, which is part of the email username, wrong. SD, you spelt the customer's last name wrong. SP, but it's happening to all my emails. Here's another one. She sends me another bounce back message. The customer sent an email from fnerk@hotmail.com. But she changed the customer email address in the sales system to fnerk@gmail.com for some reason, then tried emailing to that. SD, you've changed the domain name from hotmail.com to gmail.com. SP, oh god, I'm such a d-head. Biting my tongue, I say goodbye and hang up on her. I start making a cuppa for afternoon tea when I get another call. SP, okay, there's something definitely going wrong with this system. I've double-checked this customer's email address. It was wrong on the sales system and I had to change it. The customer's name is Bob, but someone put it in as Rob. I checked it's correct with the customer, then changed it in the sales system, but I still can't email him. I checked. She's changed the username part of the email address from rjones to bjones, which is correct from the email he sent her, but she's added the .au to the end of the domain name. i.e. rjones@companyname.com got changed to bjones@companyname.com.au. SD, you've put a .au on the end of the email address. SP, oh my gosh. This person is a financial controller, someone who needs to examine and sign contracts and financial paperwork for people buying cars. I've just learned over the years that there are some people who just have complications with everything they touch. It doesn't matter what it is. They drive a car, there's always something wrong with their car. They touch a computer, there's always something wrong with that computer. It's never them, it's always the machine or the object that they're dealing with. Or the person that made the machine. Theory on executives' computers. My office keeps getting these calls from a certain customer of ours. No troubleshooting done at all, just says it's an executive system and needs repaired. Caller, hi, I have an issue with this laptop. Me, okay, what's the issue? Caller, I don't know, can we just get someone down here? It's an exec's computer. Me, well, I can't really just send someone down without knowing what the issue is. Can you just tell me what's happening? It's BSOD, which may just need updated, but it asks to further troubleshoot to make sure it isn't hardware. Caller, listen, I don't have time to test this. Can we just get it fixed? It's an exec's computer. I get his account ID and find service history on multiple systems and it's a mess. Everyone who's had him on the call has the same story. It's an exec's computer, doesn't explain the issue, doesn't want to diagnose. Never gets fixed on original visit or case just drags on for days. So I decided to have some fun. Me, so I've looked at your history and found every system has an exec user. Caller, really? Me, yeah, actually, I have a theory on that. Caller, oh, you do? Me, yeah, so you know when a new computer gets ordered and they distribute them to staff and they test them out now and again and you get duds? I think staff just swap them out if they don't work straight away, and by the time execs get them, they already have issues. Is that what they do in your office? Caller, you're not sending anyone, are you? Me, nope. Informed my boss, who said this guy's account was already flagged by our escalations team. He laughed about my theory but told me to never do it again. That's funny. That sort of goes along with the lines of, I know the owner, and I'm going to get you fired. Guess they figure if they say it's an exec's computer, people will jump like their hair's on fire and get things done. Please don't talk me out of it. Many years ago, I used to do help desk work for a major ISP. ADSL was just being introduced to the country at the time. I was doing level 2 support and handling level 1, billing, calls as needed. I get a call coming through from a very irate gentleman that he had been overcharged for his service. While he was ranting, I managed to get his details and look into his account. Yes, he had been overcharged, and it was within my limits that I could just credit his account the amount. During a lull in his complaints, I managed to say, "Excuse me, but whether you get a credit or not is down to my discretion. At the moment, I'm inclined to give it to you. Please don't talk me out of it." Wouldn't you know, he was as nice as you please after that. Sometimes you just gotta tell people like it is. Hey, be nice or go away. Customer apparently believes that the internet runs on magic. Long-term lurker, first-time poster. For the past year or so, I've been working tech support for a well-known ISP. My job is to help people fix problems with their internet, and yes, 99% are elderly or Kevins. This particular customer call starts out pretty normal. No internet connection, phone not working, etc. I start a test on the line to look for faults, but this can take a while, so I also check the general setup, asking the customer to confirm what's plugged in and where. Line test comes back clean apart from not getting a signal back from the router, and the setup sounds correct. I even ask the customer outright if there's any signs of damage to anything, and he says no. I'm at a loss and leaning towards a fault with the equipment. Just as a last shot, I get the customer to use his mobile to send me a picture. His router is indeed plugged into the correct phone socket. The socket, however, is just lying on the floor. There's zero physical connection from the router to the phone line. Me. Is that socket actually connected to anything? Customer. No, fell off the wall this morning. Me. Well, there's the problem. We'll need to send someone to repair the socket, otherwise nothing's going to work. Customer. But I'm supposed to be working from home and my boss is expecting me on a call soon. Can't you just press a button at your end and make it work? Me. So an engineer will be with you on Thursday. Yep, just press that magic button and make everything okay. Just like going to the doctor. People think there's just a magic pill that'll make everything all better. Customer thinks we're all fraudsters. When I finished school, I had time on my hands before being drafted. We had a mandatory draft to the Army when I was young, so I started working at a firm that built and sold personal computers to private customers. This was in the mid-90s, so we would build i486 and the first generation of Pentiums. We would assemble the PCs from scratch. Mainboard had to be switched to the right speed, etc. We also installed MS-DOS and usually a version of Windows, 3.1 I believe. The typical customer bought the PC, a monitor, color, and maybe a printer. All of us had to take shifts on the support hotline, taking calls and helping customers with their new PC. One day I get a call from a woman who just bought her PC with a color monitor from us a few days ago. The call went like this. Me. Hello, this is your local computer store. How can I help you? Customer. I just bought a PC with a monitor, and I'll call the police if you don't give me my money back. Me. Confused. What seems to be the problem? I'm sure we can help you. Customer. You're all frauds. I want my money back. All the while yelling. Me. Please calm down and tell me what the problem is. Customer. You sold me a color monitor, but it's only black and white. Me. Does the monitor work at all? Customer. Yes, but there's no color and I paid for color. Me. Please tell me what you see on your screen when you turn on your PC. Customer. One moment, please. Me. Waits and hears the sound of a PC booting up. Customer. As I told you, it's all black and white and there's only some letters and digits on the screen. Me. Tell me exactly what you see. Customer describes a C prompt. Me. Please enter the following. WIN. Customer types. Now she's silent. Me. Please tell me what you see now. She's still silent. Me. Ma'am, are you still there? Customer. Yes. Me. What do you see? Customer. I don't understand. Now it's working. I see colors. I explained to her that when you did boot up your computer, you would see the DOS prompt, black and white screen with a command line. You had to type Win in order to start Windows. Of course, the DOS prompt has been and still is black and white, while Windows is in color. Good old times. So I didn't get my first computer until 1997, and it was a Windows 95 machine, and I don't remember ever having to do that, so that must have been just after where you had to manually start Windows up. What do you guys think? That's a beast of a new computer. So I currently work in a call center. and the call center contracts me with other businesses that need help. I can't see who I work for, but let's just say the IRS is both an asset and an enemy. So I'm going about my calls today when I receive a call with no account. That's fine. I go through the spiel I usually do, and he goes, "Oh, I don't have an account with you guys." Okay, I set him up with one. And as I'm asking probing questions on his issue today and creating a case, he says, "Yeah, I don't know why you guys started to need an internet connection to use your software. But I don't have an internet connection, so I need you to give me a code or some magic jumbo to get the program to work for me." Confused as I'm not aware that there are people out there without an internet connection, I explain how he needs to use the internet for various functions of the product. He gets upset and annoyed and goes, "Well, I guess I'll get a new computer with the internet on it." No, I didn't catch that at first. Is this going to be something that always happens with the company? I answered how anyone else would answer. With everything moving to the cloud, aka the internet, that a lot of your programs and products are using for various features. He reluctantly agrees and then asks what he needs for a new computer, so I give him minimum requirements. Windows 8.1 or newer, 2 gig of RAM, 1 gig for the program, 5 gig for Microsoft.NET 5.4.2 or something like that, 1 meg for internet. The program needs admin rights, especially when printing off documents. He sighs and he goes, "So not only do I have to purchase a computer with the internet," caught at that time, I blinked, "but I also have to get this beast of a computer." I looked at my gaming rig next to me, which 5 years ago cost $800 to $1,000, thinking to myself, yeah, a real beast. I tried to explain to him he would need to call his internet service provider and get the basic internet, and he should be fine, but he probably didn't understand that either. Some people are just lost when it comes to the interwebs. User can't divide. Wants me to write a program to divide a dollar amount into thirds and post to 3 GL accounts. I respond, "Okay, what about the remainder?" User tells me that there will be no remainder. Everything will always divide neatly into thirds. In hindsight, I should have just written the program and allocated any leftover pennies somewhere. However, by now it was too late. The user had to prove me wrong. She escalated this to our mutual boss and brought up a spreadsheet on the screen to prove that dividing by 3 will never have rounding issues. I pointed to the screen. You see that those 3 resulting numbers do not add up to equal original number. Of course, she was only displaying 2 decimals and Excel was rounding. She looked like a total idiot and was my mortal enemy until the day she retired. Stay in school, kids. Maths are hard. If this is some sort of test, I'm not sure what the takeaway was supposed to be. I worked at a place that, among other things, built a status display/control panel for a larger system. It was built somewhat like a tablet, bearing one motherboard that had pretty much everything except the cooling fans, display, and the actual controls themselves. You might think there's not much to troubleshoot, and if we didn't have microscopes and fine-tip temperature-controlled soldering irons available, you'd be correct. These were relatively expensive for what they did, mostly due to more rigorous testings as well as having to comply with more regulations than a customer device did. They also had to be able to run for very long periods, and thus brand new boards along with the entire new devices required a burn-in test. Boss walks up to me with a device that has a small nick in the corner of the screen. He says it intermittently gets stripes or lines in the screen, or goes to all one color. I forget what the issue was exactly. I plug it in. Obviously, if I can gently press on the screen itself and make the issue come and go, then the issue lies within the LCD panel assembly itself, and we would replace that. The LCD panel assembly was made by a third party, so we didn't have all the documentation about the actual internals, just the outside specs, i.e. power supply requirements, displayable signals, and mounting recommendations. It doesn't react to gentle pressure on the screen. It does have a protective hard layer over the screen that protects the actual LCD, and it's relatively robust. However, with that in mind, if something does hit it hard enough and or exactly the wrong way to actually chip or crack it, it's possible the LCD suffered damage as well. I mentioned without having seen the screen go wrong in front of me that I suspect the screen itself is intermittent due to physical damage, as I point out the physical damage to it. Boss says, "Oh, ignore that." Not bothering to question him, I then go on to detail what I would do if I got this kind of issue with a unit that had no physical damage to the screen. Basically, dismount the front panel but leave the wires connected, and gently move the display signal cable to see what happens. If nothing did happen, I'd check all the cooling fans, and if they were okay, run it for an hour. With no confirmation, I'd have the graphics chip reflowed, not replaced unless the reflow process causes it to entirely fail. Boss says that takes too long, so I mentioned I could just tap it from the outside without taking it apart and just leave it on for an hour, if I can't make anything happen by tapping the entire thing from the outside. He still doesn't like the idea that it would take an hour to do that. I say, if we run the automatic quality test that all units get anyway, if there was an overheating issue of some kind, it would likely show it during that test. So I could just gently tap the whole thing, and if nothing happened, just send it to testing as a no fault found. The QC test auto-checked the input and output connections that would be attached to other devices in a real system, and periodically asked the operator to verify that all buttons work, and the screen is showing this pattern. Does this picture look right, etc. He then says we should be able to find that kind of issue here at the bench. So doing my best not to even accidentally sound like I'm questioning his logic, I essentially ask him how he would suggest I try to troubleshoot the issue at the bench as quickly as possible. He then says, "You're the expert, you tell me." So I mention that I already told him what I would do to find the intermittent issues on the bench. I start mentioning other real cases of problems I found the cause of, and then solved by doing all these things. Before he can say anything else, I continue right on to, "But if you have better ideas as to what I should or shouldn't do while I'm working on these, I'm all ears." I point out that while I'm letting the unit run for an hour, I can troubleshoot other devices in the meantime with essentially no slowdown. To validate his time issue, I mentioned that I could just do the quick checks and just ask him what to do next. To which he replies he's already here, and so he's asking me what I should do next. I say I'm out of ideas. He asks why, and having no idea what he would want me to say, I pause to think for a moment about a tactful response. I just answer the question directly. I said, "I had some ideas, but you said no to all of them, so I didn't argue and just came up with a different solution." He not only went off on me for blaming him for my lack of ability to troubleshoot the device, but also accused me of being about to say something rude to him, but clamming up out of fear just because I paused. I didn't start speaking in an angry voice and suddenly restart in a calm voice. I didn't do a last-minute Spy Kids word replacement, "Oh, shiitake mushrooms." I just paused for a moment before speaking, just to think about previous experience so that I wouldn't say something that offended him. Here's the kicker. I'd worked there for several years and had been trained on the device over a year ago, and I had the same boss the entire time. Yet, experience with that job under that boss was worse than useless while still working for the same boss at the same job. Ditto for experience with the device itself, at least in the boss's eyes. The boss also would question why you were doing things the way the trainer showed you and didn't like the fact that you trusted your trainer's way of doing things, even if you'd been doing it that way without a problem for over a year. So you have a boss that's impatient and just narcissistic enough to think that he knows better than you. Yeah, I couldn't work for somebody like that. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you've enjoyed this content, would you do me a favor? Would you consider giving this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya!